Welcome back to Titan Preparedness. We are back again with another What If series video. Today we are stepping outside of America's borders and we are taking a look at an event that has happened multiple times in multiple different countries all around the world, but has yet to happen here in America. And that is a hyperinflation scenario. With all the What If series videos, we've been asking the same question. What is the major and minor events that are caused? How are people in that situation surviving it, and what would I want if I was in that situation? So for this video, I don't have one specific date or one specific country because this happens all the time across the world. So we're going to be bringing up examples from Lebanon, Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Germany, Greece, all around the world, and explaining how their people are surviving and making it through hyperinflation scenarios. So first off, what is hyperinflation? We talk about inflation here as a daily news topic. Oh, inflation's 8%, no it's 10%, no it's 12%. But we've never brought up hyperinflation. That is one event that the US has never been through. We've been through a Great Depression where people had no money, but we've never been through where the money that we had was useless. So what is hyperinflation? According to Wikipedia, it is a very high, typically accelerating rate of inflation. It quickly erodes the real value of the local currency as the prices of all goods and services increase. So as we know, with basic inflation, the prices of goods and services go up. But with hyperinflation, the prices of goods and services go up on a daily, an hourly, a minute basis. In Germany after World War I, their hyperinflation got so bad that they had a ticker on their cash registers, and every 10 seconds, every 20 seconds this thing would tick, and that meant that the prices just increased. You're talking grocery shopping done in under 2 minutes because anything past that was going to cost you extra. You didn't have time to browse the shelves, you didn't have time to look around, because every minute that you stayed in that grocery store, the prices increased. Now normally hyperinflation is caused by government mismanagement. You take a look at Venezuela. For years, Venezuela was a paradise country. It was built on the petrol dollar. It was built on the gas dollar. They had a lot of gas exports. And because the country was making so much money on gas and oil, they were able to afford free education, free healthcare, free gas, free this, free that, giving out money left and right. Well, when the gas prices bottomed out and they could no longer sell fuel for what they were selling it for previously, their budget was all out of whack. And so instead of cutting the free education, the free fuel, the free this, the free that, they decided to just let it ride. And they had a budget deficit. That meant that they had to print more money to make up for the money that they lost. Now the new money that was printed is less valuable than what was on the shelf. And you're talking printing billions and billions and billions of dollars. In Germany, they were using their money as insulation in their houses, because it was more valuable as insulation than it was trying to buy anything with that money. So the major event for a hyperinflation scenario is your money is no longer valuable. That means the prices of goods and services skyrocket. Now, unfortunately, your wages do not keep up with those skyrocketing prices. So while you're still making $15 an hour, gas costs $15 a gallon. Or your rice and beans, instead of costing $20, they now cost $2,000. So even though prices of goods and services increase, most times your wages do not increase. Right now in Venezuela, the price of a hot dog and a drink combo will cost you an entire month's salary. Something that we could get for 30 minutes of work, 15 minutes of work here, it costs them an entire month to get the same combo. What are some minor events? Usually power and water services get cut off, or people can't afford them. In Lebanon, if you're lucky, you get 2 hours of state-provided electricity a day. In Venezuela, you're lucky to get 2 hours a week. So a lot of times these governments or state-ran facilities just don't have the budget to pay some guy to go fix the problem. So they let it go. Most times in hyperinflation scenarios, people lose power or they can't afford to lose power, so that puts people back to the Dark Ages. That puts people back to the Great Depression time. So your money holds no value and you have no electricity. That is a bad combo. Another minor event that usually happens is there's a run on food, and some would say that's a major event. So in Venezuela, as long as you support the government and you support Maduro, you can get food. But if you don't support him and you think there needs to be a change in regime, then you're not getting food. You have to get food from some outside source or some other source. So people starve. People in Venezuela have lost 30 pounds. They call it the Maduro diet. That is because they are starving. Even getting simple staple products like rice and beans is going to cost you an arm and a leg, and you can't buy them unless you're part of the Maduro crew. So how do people survive this event? I'll talk about it more deeply in the Lebanon video that is coming out in a few weeks, but mostly the black market. You can buy, sell, and trade just about anything and everything that you own. When money holds no value, everything else holds value. You can trade clothing, you can trade food, you can even trade your body for a meal. The black market will get you the things that you need, your medicines, your specialty items on food, and they will make special deals and arrangements. Now there's other places like flea markets, jockey lots, trade shops that will also give you that, but they are more strict with what you can trade. Usually you can't take your body into a pawn shop and trade it for rice and beans, because that's not what they sell and that's not what they buy. You can do that on the black market because yeah, that's what happens, but usually there's also other non-black market entities that will allow you to trade for food, water, medicine, whatever the case is. There's also outside help. So if you got a buddy that lives in Venezuela, Lebanon, Greece, Germany, wherever this event is taking place, and you can send them your money, your dollars, your US dollars to them, 15, 20 bucks a month, you are doubling, maybe even tripling their salary. Right now, Venezuela, the average salary is $6 a month. So if you send them 20, that's 3 times than what they had. They can survive on your money that you donate to them. Now, if hyperinflation happened here in America, what are some things that I would want? This is where skills come in handy, right? All these other what if videos, I've talked about gear, I've talked about items, I've talked about X, Y, and Z that will help me, but this is where skills come into play. You see, because there's no food, or this food that is on the shelf is horribly expensive, I would want to grow my own food and grow as much of it as I could. Being able to garden, that is the first skill that I would want to know. And not just the small scale gardening, but big scale non-tractor gardens. It's cool that you got a $300,000 tractor, but that $300,000 tractor is a paperweight when you can't afford the fuel that goes in it. So knowing how to grow a farm without a tractor. Another skill that I would want is hunting, fishing, and trapping. Being able to go out in the woods and bring back dinner is highly beneficial. On top of that, wild edibles is a skill. If I can walk into the woods and find my next bill, whether that be acorns, dandelions, wild onions, kudzu, clover, whatever the food source is, and I can bring it back, that is one less meal that I'm having to buy. That is one less meal that I'm having to go out and trade for. Having those types of skills in a hyperinflation scenario will get you by. So the second thing I would want is precious metals. Right now in Venezuela, people are still using precious metals to get haircuts, to do their wheeling and dealing, their trading, to act as a currency because the bolivar is virtually worthless. Now you can use that gold and silver and trade for American US dollars, and then use those US dollars to buy, sell, and trade. But you cannot do that with the Venezuelan bolivar because it's worthless. You would need a truck full of money to get a single US dollar. But if you had some silver, if you had some gold, maybe even copper, that holds value. The third thing that I would want during a hyperinflation scenario, and I'll talk about this a lot in my Lebanon video, is barter items. Trade items that still hold good value. This is where your small scale bartering comes into play. Candles, kerosene lamps or oil, simple first aid items, simple medicines, things like that that can fit in a pocket, that can fit in a bag, but hold value during situations of hyperinflation. Recently I reviewed 1 Year in Hell by Selco, and he talked about barter and trade and being able to walk inside of someone else's house or store with a pocket full of tradable items, trade what he needs, and walk out. Those are when those small ticket items come into play. This is where you need to stock up on it, because if it happens here, it's going to be a terrible situation. Again, not as in-depth of a video as my other what if videos, but I do have an entire video coming out on Lebanon in about a week or two. So that is why I didn't go this far into depth. If you were involved in a hyperinflation scenario, maybe you lived in a country that went through hyperinflation, you, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, what stories did they tell you, or what is some knowledge that you learned from them that would help get people through? Alright guys, that's all I got for today's video.